Hey everybody, it's Brad from Ellicott City Sovac, and today I'm sitting here finally with the Solaris 2 from Babylock, the new top-of-the-line machine that's come out. But today what we're going to talk about are the things that you can update to turn your Solaris 1 into a Solaris 2. So right now we are taking pre-orders for the Solaris 2 upgrade, and if you have an original Solaris, you can purchase this upgrade. Just give us a call at the store for the pricing information on that. You can turn your Solaris 1 into a 2. You get literally all the same features. There's going to be no difference between a machine that was upgraded and a brand new Solaris 2. So I have been playing with this machine, and I have figured out my 6 favorite new features that are available with the upgrade. So I'm going to go through those with you, and then in a few days I'm going to go through a more thorough video on the Solaris 2 itself for somebody that isn't coming to this from a position of already owning or knowing a lot about the original Solaris. So this first video here is for you Solaris owners that are thinking, should I spend the money to upgrade my machine? Is it worth it? Well, I think that it is, and I'm going to tell you why. So without further ado, let's get to the list. So the first feature that I want to tell you about is a different app that you can use. So if you had the first upgrade, then you have the IQ Intuition monitoring app that allows you to see when your thread breaks, or if it's time to change the next color. I use it all the time. I didn't think I would use it, but I tell you, I use that all the time. I love that. But there is a separate app called the IQ Positioning app, somewhat misleadingly in the way that it relates to a Solaris, but that what it's going to allow you to do now with this new upgrade is take a picture from your phone, like an image that you have on your phone, like that you maybe downloaded somewhere from the internet, and transfer it directly to the machine. In my experience, most of the people that I work with are much more comfortable using their phone to navigate the internet and download stuff and things like that. Much more comfortable using that than a computer, a PC, like an actual normal PC. So the process for up till now, if you wanted to import an image that you found on the internet into this machine, was you had to either print it out and scan it in using the scanner, which doesn't always work all that well. What you'd have to do is save the image to a USB drive. So you have your JPEG image on your USB drive. So you'd have to know where the computer downloaded it to, and then know how to find that and copy it to a USB drive, and then take the USB drive, load it in the machine. It's just a bunch of steps, and just talking people through the process. It's a lot easier if it's just on your phone. You don't have to use a computer at all. So the way this works is the app. Now, the app is called IQ Positioning app, so it sounds a little misleading because we're not going to be using it on this machine to do positioning. On the Altair and the Meridian, that app is used for positioning. We're not going to use that because we have a camera built into this, so we don't need the positioning aspects of it. But what it will let us do is transfer an image to the machine. So let me show you how that looks and how that works in general. Okay, so here is the IQ Intuition Positioning app. Basically, all I do to send an image is I hit the select image and it looks on my phone. Now, this is an image that there's this website that had free coloring pages, so I went ahead and downloaded this, and I just touch send to the machine. And then it says sending, and there we go, sent to IQ Designer. So now to find the design that I just sent to the machine, I touch my IQ Designer, and then I use this icon here like we would normally for scanning. We tell it that we're doing a line design and that we're getting it off of our Wi-Fi. So we touch this, it's going to be the most recent one. So if we zoom in here, we can see a little better. See, there's my image that just got sent wirelessly over my Wi-Fi. I hit set, and that's going to bring my my design in. I could crop it if I wanted to. We're going to say OK. That's what it sees, and I can also tell it that I want this to be a run stitch right here. But we're going to hit set and next. And that is it. This is digitized. Okay, that is an embroidery design. I can bring this in and at this point it is ready to sew out. So I just pulled that right off of a Google image search for free coloring book images and turned it into an embroidery design. Now I could have made this bigger, I could have done a few different things with this, I could have gone in and filled in this stuff with color if I wanted to, but that's how quick it can be to pull an image off the web and turn it into stitches on the Solaris with the new update. I think that's really, really cool. Okay, so thing number 2. We have been able to trace the outside edge of embroidery designs and import them into the IQ Designer since the Destiny 2. That is a really cool feature for creating custom designs and creating applique designs out of our existing embroidery designs that we have. But one of the problems with that is that when you do it, it only gets the outer outline of the shape of the design. So for instance, if you were to try to make a capital letter A and you wanted to convert it from a fill type letter, like one of the letters that's built in here, say, and you wanted to turn that into an applique that we could use in the IQ Designer. In order to do that, you could easily get the outer shape of the A, but the little triangle that makes up the inner part of the A, where the little bridge goes across, that we'd have to draw by hand. And depending on how good we are at doing that, the inside of our letter may or may not look perfect. So the way that it works now, we have the option of getting just the outside edge or of also pulling in the inside edge. So if you don't know exactly what I'm talking about, I'm going to show you right now. All right, so I'm going to go up into my embroidery mode here and pull up one of the large monogram letters. Let's see, you know, I like this monogram alphabet a lot right here, so we're going to do that. I am going to bring in, just like I was talking about, I'm going to bring in a capital letter A, and we'll see what we can do with this. So what I want is I want to take this and basically turn it into a big decorative fill in the shape of this A. That's what I'm going to do here. And in order to do that, we're going to set it and go to our edit menu, use the outline tool, and right now it's pulling, focus please, camera. Okay, so right now it has traced the outer edge of the A, and that was all that we could do with the Destiny and the Solaris 1. But with the upgrade and with the Solaris 2, there's a little button we can hit right here where it says inside, on or off. If we hit on, boom, it pulls in the triangle in the middle of the A. Perfect. Now, when I push memory here, and it saves it to my IQ Designer, when we bring in our shape to the IQ Designer from our stamps page, you can see I did that before to test it, we've got our shape including the inside, and that means when we fill this, it's going to just fill just the shape of the A and leave out the triangle in the middle, which is perfect. So let's see what that would look like if we actually did it. We're going to make it a little bit bigger here, because why not? We're digitizing it, and we can choose the size. We're going to fill the inside of it. Let's see, we'll make it black so that it stands out really well. And we're going to pick a decorative fill. We'll pick one of the new decorative fills. We haven't talked about the new decorative fills yet, but they're on my list. And I'm going to fill this. And we notice that, look, there's no outline around our A. So let's actually put one. Make it look a little better. And there we go. We've got an A with a decorative fill in it. This particular fill, we'd probably want to size it down a little bit so that you can see it a little better. But there we go. We've got a letter A that we've brought in using an existing embroidery design and have automatically traced the inside of that. It's going to be super handy for doing all kinds of things, appliques and stuff like that for our embroidery. So that I'm pretty excited about. That is going to save some time. Number 3. Buttonholes. How many of you have ever actually used the built-in embroidered buttonholes in your Solaris? Probably, unless you're following a specific class, not that many. The buttonholes that you could do were enormous, and they are enormous. You can do enormous buttonholes with your embroidery, but generally speaking, when I'm looking for a buttonhole, I'm not looking for a 2-inch long buttonhole. Embroidered buttonholes are actually really nice because you can use the camera to place them where they need to go, and you don't have to be making a man's shirt to need a buttonhole. When I'm doing like cosplay stuff, I'll have armor pieces that I'm making, and I use elastic to hold the arm pieces to my arm, and I use buttonholes to feed that elastic through. Yeah, so another thing that I personally really wanted to do with this machine at one point was I wanted to make these little 3D cars. Look at this little guy. He's got bobbins for wheels. So I had a project all lined up that I was going to do where I made an entire 3D car in the IQ Designer and made everything built into the machine. But I needed buttonholes to put the bobbins through, and the machine just wouldn't make them small enough in the embroidery mode, and I didn't want to have it be a fusion sewing embroidery product. So I ended up using a different program to create my buttonholes, and did that class with embroidery software rather than doing it all on the machine. But now I can. I'm gonna do that. I'm gonna make a class on how to create little 3D cars with bobbins for wheels. I'll be able to do it with the smaller buttonholes. So that's cool. I'm not going to show you that on the machine. Just they're normal size buttonholes, and they're adjustable up and down too. They're not stuck at. You're not stuck at the size that they come in at. You can make them slightly smaller or larger. So just imagine normal size buttonholes available in the embroidery mode, because that's what it does. Okay, so number 4 is decorative fills in general. And there's a few different things. So like I could have probably stretched this out to be multiple numbers, but I didn't want to do that to you guys. So decorative fills. We get, first of all, 6 new decorative fills built into this machine, and they are pretty sweet. So let's take a look at them. In our IQ Designer, I'm going to go ahead and just fill the space with each of the new decorative fills so you can kind of get a feel for what they look like at scale. So we're going to go in here, and I'm going to bring up the first one. So the first new fill, I'm going to move the camera here. So the first of the new fills is this one. It's kind of like differently shaped circles. We're going to hit that and hit OK. We'll see what this looks like when we fill the entire area with it. There we go. So it's kind of like pebbles a little bit. Reflection on my screen here. Let's see if we can get a better angle. There we go. That's much nicer. So it's kind of like pebbles. We'll go ahead and generate that to see what it looks like as stitches. Should look about the same. Yeah. So that's our pebbles, and of course, with our decorative fills, we can change the way that they look using our size feature and the position and all that. So you can adjust these and make them look a little bit different. But yeah, this one looks pretty nice. Okay. Yeah. That's I could see. That like overlaid on like a water scene kind of thing. Looks like it just reminds me of like pebbles that you'd have in a stream. But anyway, let's hit return here and fill in our next decorative fill. Let's see what it is. Okay, so this one I used when I was filling in that letter, and I think that may have actually done this pattern a disservice. I think to really appreciate this, you need it kind of to be big. These triangles are really awesome. This is probably my favorite of the new decorative fills personally, but I have always liked triangles, so that is pretty cool. And then let's take a look at the next one. Triangles into this kind of like triple thatch. This is actually really nice too. That looks pretty sweet. I bet you that this is going to look really cool when we start warping it, which I'm going to get to after I go through all of these. That is, yeah, I like that. I do like that. That's pretty cool. What else we got? Oh, how could I forget the tumbling blocks? Now, we could actually get this effect with a Solaris 1 by using the hexagons, but it was kind of a pain to do it, because basically what you had to do is do a fill with the hexagons, and then do another fill of hexagons and shift it down by ½ an inch, and you'd get this same effect. So this is going to be a big time saver for making this tumbling block effect, which is cool. And the other advantage here is you can actually adjust the scale of this on the fly, as opposed to when you build your own, you really can't do that. So very cool of them to give us this pattern. I like it. And then I think there's one more. What do we got? Yeah, this guy. There we go, and generate that one. Okay, so we've got kind of a line and then a diamond kind of shape. This again, this is actually a good candidate for building different fill patterns like on top of each other. So I would imagine that we could take this design here and say have two different colors. Let's say we'll get like a purple one, and then we'll drop this in and add another one on top of this. I bet you that this one works really well for doing this, where we take two of the same thing and then change the properties of the second one. I hope that this looks cool. I haven't tried this before. I'm totally doing this on the fly with you guys. But I imagine that probably if we take this and then maybe offset, maybe we'll do, oh wait, no, I want to do it to the horizontal way. We'll do it like maybe a 1/4 inch, or right around a 1/4 inch. Let's see what that looks like when we layer that on top. Yeah, that's nifty. Kind of hurts your head a little bit to look at that, but you can play with those. So so I think some of these are kind of designed to be played with in this way. This one, as soon as I saw it, I saw the potential for this. We could layer multiples of these on there and kind of have them all maybe even at a diagonal shift. Anyway, very, very neat. So those are our decorative fills. So like I said, there's other stuff though that we can talk about with decorative fills without having to go to a different category. So those are the 6 new decorative fills. But there's another cool new thing that we can do. I shouldn't have exited that because I want to show you the new way that we can do the random shift. Okay, so let's grab one of these. Let's see, I'm going to grab one that's nice and uniform so that when we shift it, you can very easily see what it is that I'm doing. So what we've been able to do since the Solaris is this random shift here. So if I increase this value, then we get this kind of random warping of the design. So now we haven't been able to do it with this design, but now we have 3 different versions of this random shift to do. So random shift 1, 2, and 3, that's how much I'm changing the design. Okay, so this is just a minor random shift, but it's always been just one mode. Now we can do it with 3 different modes. So let's see what happens when we do type B and take it all the way to 3. We're going to say OK here. So it's kind of spherizing it over on one side, and these down here are warping in a different way. And then we can go in here and do type C. And we see that it's kind of pinching it and sphering it over in a different place here than it was before. So that's really cool. You can get different effects using that random shift. So I'm a fan of being able to change stuff up different ways. So that's pretty nifty. Now the other thing that we get with decorative fills is instead of being limited to just the stippling, and if you have the first upgrade, the echo quilting around an existing design. So if I have a stitch design that I have, you know, any embroidery design, I've been able to, since the Destiny 2, put stippling behind it, like, oh, it's doing the decorative fill. It's letting the cat out of the bag here. But I've always been able to do stippling since the Destiny 2. And then with the upgrade, we were able to do the echo quilting from last year. But now we can just directly add a decorative fill behind our embroidery designs just by hitting this button here, which is new, and selecting what decorative background fill we want to put in there. Now, we could do this before, it's just there was a lot of steps involved because you would have to pull the outline of the design out, send it to the IQ designer, fill the background around that shape, and then bring in that design, and then bring the embroidery design back in. And through all that, you couldn't really move the design around, so you kind of had to have it right in the middle. So with this, it'll go ahead and put that decorative background fill around whatever design you want. Plus, you can define the distance that you want the design, the decorative background fill to be from the design. So if I keep increasing that value, that decorative background fill is going to be further and further away from my owl, and you can see whether or not that looks good to you. So you see where we can see the border of the decorative edge around the owl. There was really no way to do that with any sort of previewing the way that we had to do it before. You just kind of had to do it, and you get what you get, and you don't get upset. So that's pretty sweet that we can now do this, and I like that. That's a good feature, good add-on feature. All right, so number 5, they have added quite a bit to the quilt border function. So last year's upgrade allowed us to do large quilt borders, up to a king-size quilt, which when the machine released, it was only like 20 by 30 inches or something like that, which, you know, that's not very big. So with upgrade number 1, that allowed us to do up to a king-size quilt border, and we had 15 designs to choose from. So they've added to that. There's now 30 total quilt border designs to choose from, and they've also added the ability to do hexagonal shapes instead of just rectangular and square shapes. So that's pretty cool too. Now I have a panel that I've prepared that I'm going to do a video on how that works. I'm not doing that tonight, but when I make my overview of all the stuff that you can do on the Solaris 2, that's one of the things that I'm going to showcase, is how that works, because it is very, very cool the way that it does it. It uses a projector to show you where the design is going to go and how to make sure that you have your rotation in. It's very, very sweet. So I'm going to show you that in another video. But know that that is one of the things that they're adding, is more of those decorative quilt borders. I'm going to show you what they look like real quick, because there's some really nifty looking ones. So in our embroidery mode, we go into our quilt borders. Let me move my camera a little bit to try to get rid of some of this glare. There we go. All right, so there's the first 10. These 5 are the ones that were added in the last update. And then these are our new ones. So we've got, let's see, some nice, really tight curlies. This one, which is kind of like little shells. We've got some leaves, like a feather kind of block here. And then, yeah, that looks more like a vine. And then this guy in here. So those are new. And then they also have added some 2-color ones. So if I go to the next section, I'll show you what those look like. So this one has these little leaves with little flowers on them. Okay? And so what that's going to do is give you kind of a more interesting looking border, because it's doing it with multiple colors. So we've got a feather version of that where the feathers are alternating colors as well, and then some kind of like geometric overlapping diamonds, which are neat, and then the loopies with again alternating the colors, which to do that manually, like free motion, forget about it. Maybe John could. And then we've got grapes. So that's pretty cool. And then here are the hexagonal ones, which some of these look really nifty too. Look at this. This looks like kind of, I don't know, it just looks like math to me, the way that those do. And we've got the loops as well, another feather, and kind of a fancier feather, and then really tight loop-to-loops for a hexagonal shape. So those are all pretty darn cool too. All right, so number 6 on my top 6. I did say that I was doing 6, I think. Anyway, number 6 is the Endpoint setting. So those of you who had traded up from a Unity or a Destiny up to a Solaris may have realized that there is a feature that you lost originally, which is that you could set where the endpoint of a stitch is going to be. Now you could set where a straight stitch is going to stop, or you could set where a decorative stitch is going to stop. So if you're trying to line up a bunch of decorative stitches right next to each other and you want them all to stop at the exact same place, you could do that with the Destiny and the Unity, and in order to do that with the Solaris, you would have to try to kind of line it up using the projector, which is a little bit trickier because it doesn't do it automatically for you. Well, they've changed that, so now it will do it automatically. Now we don't have the pen that we had with a Destiny to do it, but honestly that was kind of hit or miss anyway, and what it's now going to do is use the camera to tell where you want each decorative pattern to stop. So the way that that's going to work is like this. I'll show you. All right, so along with your upgrade, or if you have a Solaris 2, along with your Solaris 2, you get this sheet of these positioning stickers. And what you do with those, they are going to tell the machine where it needs to stop the stitch. Okay, now this, like I said, this works with a straight stitch or with a decorative stitch. Most useful with a decorative stitch. So I've gone ahead and selected a decorative stitch, and I've created a line with a piece of chalk right here. This is where I want all of my decorative stitches to line up. So basically what I would do is I would take my positioning marker, I'm peeling one off right now, and stick it so that the center of it lines up with my line, but I don't have it, there we go, but I don't have it in the way of where the stitching is going to go. All right. So if we can see, we've got my foot right there, my positioning marker right there. Now on my screen, that glare, all right, I'll stand in the way of the light. I touch my, my button here, and down the bottom there's a new button for Endpoint. All right, so here we go. This is where I can tell it, okay, I want to end on a completed pattern, and we're just going to go ahead and hit the gas pedal. Well, in this case, we're going to hit the start button. So watch what it does. Hit start. It's going to start feeding my fabric along. And then once this positioning marker moves into the field of view of the camera, it's going to start tracking it. Okay, so it's tracking it now. You see the projection? I don't know if you can see it. So it's showing me that it sees where that is. And it's going to stop right in that spot, and it will adjust the way that the stitches are going so that if it needs to compress the pattern a little bit, it will. It'll adjust it so that it ends on a completed iteration of the pattern, okay? That way, even if it, has to squish together a little tiny bit, it'll end at the end of a completed pattern, and it'll end right at the center of where that dot is. So let's see how good it did. Looks to me like it's pretty close to dead on. All right, so there's the end of my design, and there's my dot. Oop. So there we go. That is the, and then we would just do, we'd move our fabric over and go and do the next line and the next line and the next line and get them all lined up just like that. So that is the endpoint stop. So yeah, so those were my 6 favorite features. That's not everything that it does though. We also have the ability to zoom up to 400%. On the machine, as opposed to only going up to 200%. When you're dealing with a 16-inch wide maximum embroidery size, sometimes 200% just isn't enough if you're dealing with a bunch of small objects that you're trying to orient. So that's a good thing, having that extra zoom. There's 50 new embroidery designs built in. There's some really nice ones. There's like some good borders and that kind of stuff. That is, I can show you those too. Actually, while we're here, I may as well show you what the new designs are. So here are our new designs. Some holiday stuff in there, some cowboy boots, some quilty kind of stuff, some birds. This is a good corner right here. I like that. So those are the 50 new designs. So a good mix of quilty stuff and kind of fancy borders and that kind of thing. Let's see, yeah, there's one that looked like a spirograph. What's this? Kind of like a kind of Christmas gift kind of look, but I really like the way it's got this kind of spirograph action going on. But anyway, so those are the new designs that are built in. So it's always nice to get new designs built into your machine. Oh, and I almost forgot, there is another important feature. This really should have been on the list of 6, not the other stuff section. So I guess it's 7 of my favorite features of the new upgrade, because they've made it so that you can change the order of designs that you bring in, like when you combine designs. Like if you're making an applique in the IQ Designer, for instance, and you bring your pieces in the wrong order, previously you would have had to start over again. Now you can reorder them. So if you're doing, if you're doing an applique that's just one piece, that's not a big deal. But if you're doing an applique that is multiple pieces, like you're doing layered applique designs that you're making, that could be a catastrophe if you bring the stuff in the wrong order, and then you'd have to go back and kind of start building it over again from the beginning. Now you can actually go in and change the order of the pieces that you've brought in. So that is a really cool feature. I really like that they've added that, and that's going to be a big time saver for people that are using their IQ Designer to the most of its abilities. That's a really good thing. And I can think of a couple of times where that would have saved me a bit of time when I did things in the wrong order. So that is, I think, all of the features. If not, I mean, I could be wrong, of the upgrade. So if you have a Solaris and you have upgraded with the first upgrade already last year, or any time that you have bought the upgrade for the Solaris, number one, and then you add on the Solaris 2 upgrade that we're taking pre-orders for right now, then you will have a Solaris 2. It will be the exact same thing, and it's easier than ever to upgrade these machines. Of course, we are always happy to do it here in the store, but if you don't want to have to drag your machine in, because the machines take their updates over the internet now, you can actually register your upgrades right on the machine without even using a computer nowadays. Just much more streamlined than it used to be with the Destiny and the Elissimo and the machines before that, where you had to go and put in a CD in your computer and put in a key number and a serial number and all this stuff. It just does it for you on these now, which is very cool. So I hope that this explains the stuff that's coming with the upgrade, and I have some other things that I'm going to do videos on. Like I said, I am going to do an overview of the Solaris 2. I'm actually planning to do a live stream. I'm not sure when that's going to be. I'll announce it on Facebook and probably on an email when I'm going to do that. It might be this Sunday. It might be next Sunday. It's probably going to be a Sunday. And we'll see how that goes. I do want to show how to use that quilt border thing, so I'm going to do a video on that. I know that I've said that I was going to do more videos. This has just been so crazy in the store, and I don't have one of these machines at home. When we close, I'm exhausted, and I want to go home. Today I was excited because I got this machine in my hands for the first time, and it literally, this thing arrived not even 20 minutes before I started this video. That's how much I wanted to make a video on the new upgrade for you guys. So anyway, I hope you enjoyed this. I hope you understand more what's in the upgrade that you are thinking of pre-ordering, or that you've already pre-ordered. And I'll see you guys next time you come in the store, or next time I make a video. Thanks for watching.